Let us have a great discussion. Good morning to you, Lawyer Paddy, Lawyer Emmanuel Paddy. I wish you all the best. A great guy, great friend. And then also Justice Mingle, my former boss at the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. The rest of you who are watching us on social media, we encourage you to share the stream with us and let's have some great conversations thereof. And let me say good morning to Ellis Kotoa of Tema for my shirt, able to make it through the fabrics of Woodin this morning. Let me see who's wearing Woodin so far. Nobody else. Please, I encourage you to wear Woodin. Good morning to all of you. Let me just.
Good morning.
All right.
Woodin is not cheap.
Delali has joined us. Delali, this is my first time hosting you, right?
Sure.
Okay. How are you?
I'm good. Yes, sir.
Great, great. Lawyer Pierre Dankwa.
Yeah.
How are you? Great guy, great guy. And then also Lawyer Jantua Regla. And since MPP boycotted us, though, we had the Movement for Change, who were former members of the MPP. They took their place, but subsequently we've had MPP coming back. Awal Mohammed has joined us. Awal Mohammed. Alhaji, are you an Alhaji? Good morning.
You didn't allow me to comment.
No, today we are four, so if we say we'll comment.
I'm very happy. I'm very happy that the MPP has listened. I kept begging them to come
but
back.
But Afrafranto cannot represent us because they are no more.
We are not talking about Afrafranto. We are talking about you. Afrafranto is not MPP.
Why would
You
I
are
want to
MPP.
represent
He said you took our place.
Wait,
why would I want to represent you?
we thank the MPP.
Why would I want to represent?
We thank the MPP for listening and coming back, and we thank TV3 for expanding the table to accommodate MPP. Now we can talk.
I think now we need enough time.
Yes, now is the time.
It's becoming like Key Points. But Key Points will be on from 7 a.m. tomorrow till by 11 and hosted by Alfred. And Alfred Akrofio Kanse will be hosting as always. He's a regular host. Evans Ibn Samba, you've joined us on Facebook. Please make sure you share. Nelson Akotia, you are saying it's a Friday. Please cash out. Let's have some great time. Prince Henry Kofodia also joining us. Daniel Akpaliok, Sherry Giovanni joining us, and so we're happy. Roja has also joined us, and please share the stream. Money watching us from the UK. Today we're discussing our current debt stock. The latest we got from the finance minister and also the records of the Bank of Ghana indicating that it's 761 billion in excess as at end of July 31. Should we be worried? We should be worried because we had to go for the creditors to have or agree to have the payments structured. And so, yatwasheda, as we say it in Chi, so to speak. But what we want to tackle first are concerns about discrepancies in the latest addition of names to Ghana's electoral register for the 2024 general elections, that's parliamentary and presidential elections. And already we'll take you through snippets of what has been dominating the discussion so far. And just put them on the screen. The Electoral Commission says there's nothing wrong with the register. That's why they display it, etc. But the discrepancies, for example, there are concerns that some names in some polling stations in certain regions have been transferred without the doing or authorization of those who bear the names to some polling stations in some other areas and even in polling stations in some other regions. This is what the Electoral Commission says. So just put it back on the screens. So we'll start with what the Electoral Commission is saying, basically. No, not this one. The one they say the one you So the 2024 voters register is robust and credible. Ignore assertions that the voters register is not fit for the 2024 elections. Now, subsequently, also we noticed that they continued by giving all the assurances. Ghana's Electoral Commission. The rationale for exhibiting the provisional voters register is to correct errors and omissions. It is only after all identified issues are corrected that the final register is printed for the elections. This has been the practice since 1992. But within the period, we also noticed that there was an arrest of an individual apparently who had the BVD on him. How can the machine used for registration, etc., be in the possession of somebody else? I made all the concern raised about the misplacement of or how they've been stolen. Now, Mr. Ahin, who is with Kodeo, says this impacts the fairness and the credibility of the Electoral Commission and the perception whether it will organize a free and fair elections. Delali, let me start off with you. You had raised key concerns alongside civil society. What were some of the concerns you'd noticed?
Good morning, Roland, and good morning to your cherished viewers. With respect to the Electoral Commission and the issues that has been raised, if you look at it very carefully, yesterday my parliamentary candidate, Honorable Felix Nakoyo, issued a statement that basically captures some of the discrepancies as far as the electoral voter is concerned, as far as the Owutu Senyeri's constituency is concerned, where there are duplicates of what they call voter register, or people who were captured in the voter register. And that is not the only thing. So when you look at, for instance, an electoral area that Jomes, we have a duplicate almost about 561. And when you go to Iron City, there's a duplicate as well. And when you go to constituency like Honorable Ato Forcing constituency, where 2,000 voters vote was transferred without their consent out of the constituency, and another 2,000 vote was actually transferred into the constituency when the NDC as a political party that happens to be a major stakeholder as far as the election is concerned is not finished with all these details. When you look at the voter register, as been highlighted by the Director of Election, Dr. Edward Amanimboma, and his able team, we have almost about 50,000 people, ghost names, that is captured in the register. What the NDC is basically saying is that we have the strongest belief that when this election is organized on the altar of free and fair, the NDC have what it takes to win the next election. And what we are basically saying has been projected on the screen. I believe your producer will be projecting on the screen. You will see a
so we had duplicates, or the Electoral Commission said that's why they are exhibiting. What are the fears?
What? The Electoral Commission what?
That is why they are displaying the register.
Roland, you notice that even when it comes to even the Electoral Commission making available to the NDC the voter register, because they actually give us a timeline that they're going to make available to the NDC the voter register before the exhibition. The essence of that exercise is for the political party, right, to do a lot of forensic analysis of the register before the exhibition. So what the NDC is basically saying is this: there's a deliberate attempt by the Electoral Commission, right, not to furnish the NDC with the necessary information. Because we are talking about the fact that when you pick somewhere like Owutu Senyeri's constituency, where you have 561 duplicates in a particular electoral area. I give you a specific example with respect to Honorable Ato Forcing's constituency. How on earth do you transfer a vote of voters without their consent? How do you do that? It happened in the northern region. How do you transfer a vote into a constituency without the consent of the political party? That is a major stakeholder as far as elections is concerned. And this thing has been highlighted.
It has to be with the consent of the individual.
Exactly. I'm talking about the fact that when you are doing voter transfer,
because the individual,
you give them a daily printout. When we compare the daily printout to what the Electoral Commission has exhibited, it doesn't tally. So what we are basically saying is this: the Electoral Commission must be up and doing. The Electoral Commission must know that the election that we are going into, Roland, is not just an ordinary election. It's an election that is being touted as the second independent of the Republic of Ghana. It's an election that is meant to salvage Ghanaians from the excruciating hardship that we are going through. It's an election that is meant to salvage Ghanaians for the nepotistic government that we are currently experiencing. It's an election that is meant to do away with the daily corruption that we are experiencing. And I want the Electoral Commission to address itself with one thing. Maybe they have lost sense of history. In 2008, even though I was young, I was privy to some of the things that happened. The Electoral Commission should start asking certain questions. They should go and ask Atasia. When he was caught on tape, when the NPP sat down to deploy a strategy, when Afarijan asked them that, they claimed that the what they call NDC have maimed and killed some of their polling agents in the voter region. They sat down in a room, has a plan that they are going to what they call the Konfano Hospital morgue to go and pick dead bodies to show it to Afarijan as an evidence. Go on and ask
where's the tape?
I'm saying that there was a tape that was played. I mean, prior to the
who has verified whether it's the voice of Atacha?
Oh, I mean, he has not disputed that in respect
No,
to that.
I dissociate TV3. No, please. I dissociate TV3 myself from the statement that has been made. If you don't have evidence, you don't continue with the statement.
What I'm saying
please, let's be on the straight and narrow. Mr. Delali.
I understand. What I'm just saying is this. Prior to the 2008 election, a lot of things happened. The NPP must bear in mind that all these things that happened, they were exposed because the very people who were even within the corridors of the NPP needed a change at that time. In 2008, the NPP sat down, harbored a plan, a diabolic plan that in fact they are going to make sure Afarijan, an injunction was placed on Afarijan for that matter, you will not be able to declare the results. By the time they get to court, NDC lawyers were already in the court. So what I'm just trying to say is this: when the people have resolved to change you, no amount of shenanigans, no amount of gerrymandering can save the MP from losing the 2024 election.
Lawyer Pierre Dankwa, there are key considerations here. Which one should we take cognizance of? That prior to this, I mean the exercise, you have to furnish all parties with a register. And now the bone of contention is, at least for the NDC, they said they just received it. Did you say a day before?
Now,
did you say a day before?
No, even the very day. The deadline even expired before we got it. Yeah.
And then also before then, there are concerns that individuals have been appointed, aligned to the governing party, etc. And Mr. Ahin says it creates the perception about whether the Electoral Commission is indeed going to be fair or not.
So let me wish you a good morning. Wish a while here, a good morning, my senior brother, and then the people of Ghana, a good morning. You see, the burden placed on the EC going into the 2024 election, in my personal view, is an almost impossible burden. Because ordinarily, the burden on the EC is not only to deliver an election that is free and fair, but to deliver an election that is perceived to be free and fair. Unfortunately for the EC, due to no fault of the EC, the president has made her ability to deliver that burden almost impossible.
How so?
Now, the president has made her ability to deliver that burden almost impossible because of the recklessness in his making appointments or in making appointments of persons who are perceived to have partisan coloring. See, in his reckless decision to make appointments of people, of persons who are perceived to have partisan coloring. Now, because of that huge burden, unfortunately, that has been placed on the EC. I would have thought that they would take serious steps in alleviating the concerns of the people of Ghana in her ability to deliver an election that is perceived to be free and fair, in how she handles pre-electioneering issues. Because sadly, when we were doing the voter registration exercise, and there were serious issues raised, serious noises, which does not aid the EC in any way, in any shape or form, in her burden to deliver an election which is perceived to be free and fair. The issues concerning the BDVs, I think just last week we heard news that some BDVs in Sawum has been found in the hands of some. Yeah,
there's a gentleman. We can show a picture of just the BVD if we don't want to show his face, for example. Just a picture of the BVD itself.
Why wouldn't you show his face?
So, you see, I've said this somewhere and I'll say it again. Because the EC is a human institution, probably.
So this is the property of Ghana's electoral commissions and something like this. Is that what you're referring to specifically?
Yes, last week reports came that BDVs have been found in the hands of certain individuals. You know, some BDVs were reported to have gotten missing about 2 months ago. And then we see this what's called issue. For me, what it does is to create a situation where in the minds of the ordinary Ghanaian, the election already seemed to be, as in to being rigged. Already. And
rigged?
Already being. Yes, I'm not saying, I'm saying that in the, and see here, let's be clear, I'm talking about perception here. You understand? And when you talk about the electioneering process, it's not just about the 7th of December when
it's not a one-day event.
It starts. You understand? And I'm saying that because the burden on the EC is not just to deliver an election that is free and fair. If that was a burden, there would have been a simple exercise. But the burden on the EC is to deliver an election which is perceived to be free and fair. Now, because of that burden, then in how she conducts herself, especially taking into consideration the fact that the president has made that burden, her ability to deliver that burden, almost impossible because of the perception that the president, or the belief that the president has appointed persons who are perceived to have political coloring. So I would have thought that in how she handled herself, she would be very minded or mindful to be almost perfect in how she conducts herself. But already with these mistakes, probably they could be genuine mistakes, probably. But are you going
to say they are genuine mistakes?
I say probably they could be genuine mistakes, probably. But because of the surrounding circumstances, because of the reckless decisions the president made in appointing people who are perceived to have partisan coloring, who is going to believe that these mistakes are genuine or are innocuous? Who is going to believe, especially taking into consideration issues that happened in 2020 regarding what's called mistakes with figures? And then also, if you consider that in 2020, 8 of our compatriots, 8 souls,
you are whose compatriot?
You and I, all of us, 8 Ghanaian souls were lost just in this exercise of sharing your opinion as into whose hands you are going to place executive power.
The choice.
Just your opinion. 8 people, 8 souls were lost. Now, because of that past, that bloody past, it puts a huge burden on all of us, especially the president and the EC.
Why the president? It's the Electoral Commission that does the organization and management, ultimately the declaration of the results.
When it comes to the appointment of the EC, who does that?
Okay, I get you.
When it comes to security issues concerning the elections, who does that? And so because it's the president who is the chief executive of this country, and he appoints the EC, and because he's taking an oath to be faithful to Ghana, an oath to dedicate himself to the well-being of every single Ghanaian, then when he's making his decisions, when he's making his appointments, he should have regard to that oath. But when you make an appointment which makes the job of the EC practically impossible, then you have not been faithful to Ghana, and that's the problem we are facing now. So the EC already having been placed in a very difficult situation already.
You think it could be deliberate? All these orchestrated, so to speak, allegedly?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying, that she could be making genuine mistakes. You understand? She could be making genuine mistakes. But because of the circumstances surrounding the appointments of people with partisan coloring, because of how the president has conducted himself, because of the extent to which he's been unfaithful to Ghana in how he dispensed with that obligation, who is going to believe that these mistakes are genuine? And that's the situation we have been placed in. We have been placed in a situation where it is practically impossible for the EC to succeed in delivering an election that will be perceived to be free and fair. And if any problem happens, if any issue happens because of the recklessness of how these appointments were made, when that day of reckoning comes, the president and his apparatchiks and his party should not run away.
And at the end of the day, all parties should be interested in this. The NPP doesn't seem to be interested in some of these concerns. Or are they?
Thank you so much. Good morning to our cherished viewers, and thank you so much for the opportunity. I would like to take this opportunity to say that Dr. Bawumia was in Domi Kwabinya yesterday. He's still in Accra and will continue campaigning. Whilst Napo is still continuing with his Ashanti regional campaign. He was in Kwabere East yesterday, and Hajia Samira Bawumia too is in the Bono region. She was in Wenchi yesterday. So they are continuing their campaign. We are taking our campaign to the doorsteps of Ghanaians. We are talking to Ghanaians, and we believe that they will vote for Dr. Bawumia to be the next president of Ghana, inshallah. I think if in the run-up to any elections, if any stakeholder within the elections is able to really put out his grievances, I think if they are genuine, the EC should be minded to be able to really respond to all these things. So, as a political party, we believe that the EC must be the umpire we all want the EC to be. And again, if you check the work of the EC today, I think they are more transparent than ever.
They seem more transparent?
Yes. They are more transparent.
Well, the concerns are that a number of activities that lead up to this creates the perception. Even if you Kodeo, they are raising concerns.
If you avert your minds to the 2020 elections, the issues of duplicate people within the register was raised. And the EC told you a simple exercise that they will be able to do that. The deduplication exercise, where they matched fingerprints with pictures. And they were able to remove all the duplicates in there. If the EC opens up for exhibition, what is the essence of exhibition then? The essence of exhibition is for you to come, look at it. If there are problems within the register, you report them. Then they take steps to remove it, to correct them. That's the essence of exhibition. In the run-up to any elections, they do exhibition. In the exhibition, they tell you, come. If there are any questions, come and ask us. If there are any problems that you feel that the register has any problem, come and tell us so that we're able to really correct them. That is why I said that in 2020, they did the deduplication exercise by removing those they said that there are multiple numbers in the register, and that was done. Again, my brother from Afro-Franto, you are a lawyer.
My name is Andrew.
Please, he's from the Movement for Change.
And my name is
But
Andrew.
you don't want the Afro-Franto again?
No, but my name is Andrew, so come.
Okay, so, so you are a lawyer. Did the president break any law by appointing people you perceive to be sympathetic to any political party?
So that is a ground rule now. No, you don't break laws.
Did he
is it
break
not
any
the
law?
action that also relates to the spirit and the letter of the Constitution, the morality of it?
So
because you are dealing with institutions and human beings.
The question I'm asking is
that leads to perception?
Did the president break any law by appointing people you perceive to be sympathetic to a political party? Then it will be difficult for any president to appoint anyone in this country to work at the EC. Because everyone is tagged. Even you sitting here, you are tagged. You are a journalist. You're supposed to be in the middle, but you are tagged. I have always maintained this, that David Kanga is the longest serving vice chair of the EC. He was an appointee of PNDC, but he discharged his duties dutifully without you necessarily seeing that he's from any political party. But he was an appointee of PNDC. How did Afarijan got his appointment? According to Ahoy, he was sent to bring someone to be EC chair. He went to a bar around University of Ghana and saw Afarijan. They took some beer and felt that Afarijan should be able to.
Where did you hear this?
It's in the Working with Rawlings. In the book, Working with Rawlings. I'll just get the page.
No,
for
you can't just say these things spuriously. Somebody's reputation.
I am saying spuriously.
I
am telling you where I am.
So I said, which page?
I don't have the book here, but
so
I know.
I know. You said Dr. Afarijan was met at a pub. Is that how you discredit people?
That was what was written in the book. Working with Rawlings. I'll get you the page.
Which page? If you don't substantiate that with the page, please move on. Yes. On that subject.
So I'm saying that people perceive to be sympathetic to any political party. If really that is the rule, then no one will be appointed to the EC in this country because everyone is tagged. That's one. Two is that I am yet to see any individual anywhere in the constituencies that my brother has mentioned coming to say that I have been transferred without my authorization. I am yet to see anyone. In my constituency, I took my wife she was voting previously in Winneba because she was a student there. I took her to Asawasi constituency. I went to the EC office to transfer, and I saw a lot of people doing the transfer. Yes. For you to go and see 1,000 people moved from one constituency to one region to another region, and you think that amounts to gerrymandering, I'm surprised that people will talk about these things. For instance, they raised issue about Pusiga. Pusiga and Boko Enclave is a war zone. A lot of them are in Tamale. A lot of them are in Boku. Are in Bolga. Some
what do you mean by it's a war zone?
Yes,
a conflict area and a war zone is not
sorry. A conflict area.
Is it the government of Ghana through its intelligence have declared the place a war zone?
No. That was a mistake. But I'm saying that
you are
it's a conflict area. Yes, it's a conflict area. So a lot of people have moved. If they decide to go back, you know the number of thousands of people that will be sent there. I am yet to see anyone say that I have been transferred to any place without my authorization, because you don't do this with a political party. It's individual basis. I sent my wife to the Electoral Commission's office, and she transferred her vote from Winneba to really Ashanti region, and she did that without any cost. I went and met a lot of people. So if you go, you're given the register, and you see that 1,000 or 2,000 people have transferred. Nobody has done anything illegal.
It is normal.
Because individuals go there to do the registration. You don't do the registration just because a political party is sending you there. They go there with their own consent, and that's very important.
Nothing is wrong.
Nothing is wrong.
What says nothing is wrong? I mean, really.
Did I say nothing is wrong?
You said nothing wrong with the president appointing people.
No, it's okay.
You see, good morning to our viewers. Good morning to my fellow panelists. The Constitution is such that it gives the president the power to do what? To appoint. And because the Constitution gives the power to appoint, some of us can't say anything about that because the Constitution says it. So it's not really probably the person who has been appointed by the president. That person might support the party or might not support the party. It is when the person gets in and the person's attitude and the way the person shows themselves with regards to the work that they are doing. And if you see that person leaning to one side, then that perception is raised that that person would only be interested in what the current government would do or should do. Last election, 2020, how many times was the presidential count made? Was it 1? Was it 2? Was it 3? Was it 4? Was it 5? Was it 6?
What's your point? That there's a history?
Well, there's a history of this Electoral Commission announcing the presidential count. How many times? 4 or 5 times. That brings a perception of mistrust. The Electoral Commission should be an institution that the people trust. Ditto, ditto. It has the integrity for the people to do what? To trust that the elections that will be held will be free and fair. Let's go out there and let's ask the people of Ghana whether they trust the Electoral Commission. And that is where the challenge is.
Trust for the Electoral Commission?
Yes. That's where the challenge is. If I can't trust you, how can I trust you to give me free and fair elections? I would have thought that they would have a system in the Electoral Commission, and you guys can tell me whether I'm right or wrong, where they can look through and sanitize some of these duplications we are seeing on the voters register. Do they do that? And if they've sanitized it and they bring it out for people to now go and rectify, should the duplication still be on there? And they bring us a letter to tell us what? That, oh, it is normal. It is something that happens. How? How? In other countries, elections have caused wars. No be so? And in this country, was it 2012 or 2008, where we were on the brink. We were on the brink. If it weren't for the ingenuity of the Electoral Commissioner then, Afarijan, this country would have gone elsewhere. And so the responsibility of the Electoral Commission should not be tied to the ruling party. if I had my own way, the Electoral Commission would not, the chairman would not be nominated by the president.
Then,
if anything at all, the people's gathering is in Parliament. That is where the people's gathering is. And if anybody wants to be in an Electoral Commission, apply for the job.
So it should be advertised to an independent
exactly.
institution?
Apply for the job, and it is up to Parliament to vet anybody who wants to take that position. Because most of the Electoral Commissions that come in, they know nothing about elections. They learn on the job by the Electoral Commission people who are there. And sometimes some of the things they teach them, they don't even understand. And so if for nothing at all, anybody who wants that position should prove that they understand what it takes to be an Electoral Commissioner. Because you see, it looks as if, and I was asking Andrew this morning, hey, Power, the place is sweet, that we will do anything, right or wrong, to make sure we get there. Is that what it is? And I believe, unfortunately, politicians in this part of the world have forgotten the tag that they have to serve. They've forgotten that. So far as they are concerned, we get into power and we do what we have to do. Look at the interview with Vice President Baumia the other day.
Which interview?
On TV. The one that meet the press.
What about it?
There were quite a lot of things that he skipped. He didn't know. Wasn't he asked about Kuku? Wasn't he asked about the
What do you mean by he didn't know?
They asked
He said he'll get better or further.
At this 99th hour. At this 99th hour, you've been vice president for 7.5 years. You're going to get what? Information. You're going to get information.
But knowledge is not in the
please. He is the second gentleman of the country. This information he should know. If you, the journalists, know, shouldn't he know? Shouldn't he know that people died during the last election? Shouldn't he know what is happening in the cocoa industry? Shouldn't he know? I believe that for nothing at all, we should start sitting together, make it a national discussion with regards to the things that need to be changed in our constitution. And one of those things, and the constitution, it's not everything in the constitution that is bad, but the bit that refers to the president and the president's powers, that bit we should start talking about it and see how best we can rectify. Because it really does not make sense for such things to happen. By the way, what's is it a BVD? What is that machine? Yes, what is that machine? What does it do? What does it do? No, the people have to understand. Some of us might, others might not understand. What does it do in the electoral process? Why is it there? It is there to do what? I say I wouldn't know. So educate me. Any of you educate me. What does the
Verify
BVD mean?
People for them to
take biometrics information
so
of people who want to be on the register.
If it's supposed to do that, is it material to the elections?
Very.
It's very material to the. So if the electoral commissioner comes and says, "Oh, it's just a BVD because it has not been what configured. You can't do anything about it." So why is somebody stealing it? Why somebody? How do we know it's not configured? How do we know that machine that has been stolen? How do we know it's not configured? And how did it leave your stores anyway? They shouldn't come.
How did it leave your possession?
I said they shouldn't come and try and cover it. No, accept that this has happened and accept that. Look, we have to be very, very, very careful in terms of how we secure things to do with the election.
Okay, then let's just spend 3 minutes on this. So going forward, what is it? Because the election is just straight away. Look, we have to be realistic. We have to do the detections. We have a recourse to the Electoral Commission. And so somebody will say, well, for the benefits of the doubt and devil's advocates, I mean, we're crying about nothing really, much ado about nothing. Because the Electoral Commission will notice some of these concerns and then correct them.
Well, first of all, I just want to put it on record. Dr. David Kanka was never appointed during the era of the NDC. What I was told was a palpable lie. I mean, that basically is...
Then when was it?
He spoke about the fact that David Kanka was appointed during the PNDC era. That is a palpable lie. I mean, that is completely false. That's what... that's completely...
Then when was he appointed?
No, he was talking about he was appointed to as an appointee of the NDC, the PNDC. That's what I'm saying.
You're saying that he's not an appointee of the
exactly.
NDC.
It's a palpable lie. That is their stock in trade. Okay. That is false.
Go ahead.
Roland, the fact of the matter, you know Dr. Apiahino. I mean, he once upon a time was just like me.
This is public information.
Goes to radio station, represent a political party called the NPP. And currently he is working at the Electoral Commission IT department. So I am actually not surprised about this mess that we are currently witnessing. And this is not a mess, this is a deliberate mess to give the NPP an undue advantage. But like I said, the NDC election directory led by Dr. Edward Omanibuama and his able team, we are wide awake. You see, no machination will be able to save the NPP from an impending defeat. You see, the Electoral Commission must be up and doing. That is why, for me, I side with the national chairman of the NDC, that the Peace Council, people who see themselves as major stakeholders when it comes to our electoral process, must begin to speak out. Because, you see, I've always said this, Roland, pollution is localized, but the effect of that pollution is global. If you think that you are not an active politician for that matter, you are not going to comment about the ills of the Electoral Commission. When there's chaos, you will not be immune from that chaos. If you are a pastor, you are a man of God, you are an imam, and you are preaching to your congregation or you are preaching to a group of people, you must be bold enough and speak against the ill of the Electoral Commission. Because nowhere in the world that an Electoral Commission or President of the Republic of Ghana appoint a non-NPP activist, somebody who occupies position in the NPP, to be currently working at the Electoral Commission. And you expect the NDC to look at that person and thinking that that person will be objective when it comes to discharging his duties or responsibility. I mean, so look at the mess that we are currently experiencing. So if Awal is talking about the fact that no individuals have come out and make a claim to the effect that his or her transfer has been his vote has been transferred without his consent, the Northern Regional Secretary of the NDC addressed the press and their group of people who made a claim to the effect that their votes have been transferred to another constituency without their consent. So instead of creating an impression that people are blowing hot air without dealing with the issues that has been raised, I want to say it today and I want to say it now. Roland, President Mahama has said it. The NDC is not going to court anymore. Whatever it is, we will settle it at the polling station. Because you see, this
the iron core is that we should be very temperate.
Roland, what I'm just saying is this. President Mahama is saying, but the Supreme Court has made a ruling that elections are won at the polling station. So there's absolutely nothing wrong when we say they're going to settle everything at the polling station. We are going to be vigilant. We are going to ensure that nobody will take the will of the good people of this country for granted. Or we'll make sure until the last ballot paper is counted.
3 minutes for you, sir. Apia Dankwa.
And what's the question? Is it the same question?
No, you know, the Electoral Commission at the time when we were told that 8 devices had been stolen, said 5 laptops. Then we went to BVDs, not configured, and this is where we are, appointments, etc. Going forward, how do we make sure stakeholders are on board and have a buy-in? The Afrobarometer report says everybody wants a credible election, fairness, etc. But there's mistrust for the electoral body.
In fact, excellent question. Because really, the biggest problem the EC is facing is how do they restore the confidence the people of Ghana have in the ability to deliver a free and fair elections. It was Aristotle that said that law is reason, free from passion. And because law is reason, to answer the question Awal posed, when you are an appointing authority and you're making appointments, reason, common reason, which is really the law, will tell you that you look at the reason, the function of why you are making that appointment. And the reason and the function of why the president appoints the EC is so that the EC, like I said, will come and deliver election. That is not only free and fair. Because like you said,
what if the appointment is lawful?
What is the law? That's why I define what the law is. You yourself spoke about the spirit and letter of the law. You yourself spoke about the spirit and letter of the law. So that when you are talking about the spirit and letter of the law and you are taking into consideration the fact that law is reason, then an appointment that makes it practically impossible for the EC to dispense with her obligations. And I'm saying that her obligation is not just to deliver elections which are free and fair, but elections which are perceived to be free and fair. I think the EC needs to take steps immediately, whether through public engagements, whether through stakeholder consultations, you understand, whether through how they even dispense with their pre-electioneering processes. But the EC needs to take concrete steps to restore the confidence the people of this country have in her ability to dispense with free and fair elections.
Perception, confidence, and mistrust.
I say once she does that, we are good to go.
Oh, wow, 3 minutes on this. How do we all make sure we have a buy-in so that the Electoral Commission can be allowed to do its work?
Okay, so before that, you challenged me that which part of the book of Ahoy did
I didn't challenge
say?
you, I said state it.
Yeah,
it's not a challenge.
So because I don't have the book here, I went to My Joy Online. There is a story on My Joy Online. Kwamina Ahoy narrates how he discovered Afarijan at a drinking spot.
Excellent.
And when you come down where the book is, direct quotation from the book, he said he was sent to go and get Dr. Dra. He said he was sent to go and speak to Dr. Dra to come and join. Then I joined him and engaged in a conversation, hoping to find out from the residents of Dr. Dra at the point. In a new conversation, in a new controversial book working with Rawlings, the local government expert recalled meeting Dr. Afari-Gyan at a drinking spot. He said in a quote, I joined him and engaged in a conversation, hoping to find out from him the residents of Dr. Dra. As the conversation dragged on, I began to see Dr. Afari-Gyan in a new light. He was not only a progressive individual, he was also pro-Nkrumahist and not hostile to the revolution. I steered the conversation in a direction unfolding transition of constitutional rule. Of his views seemed to echo those of the PNDC. I aborted my trip to locate Dr. Dra's house, turned back and reported to Captain Chikata's office the next day that we have a new EC. This is in the book. So he met him at a drinking spot, and he felt that he aligned with the PNDC, and he gave him the appointment.
Excellent.
That is one. Yes, that is one. Two is that before Dr. David Kanga became a member of the INEC, later EC, David Kanga was appointed by Rawlings between 1988 and 1993 as a member of the Commission for Democracy. That is the reason I told you that he was an appointee of the PNDC. And that I don't speak out of vacuum. At least I read political science and history in the university. Yes, according to Ahoy, J. Ekufuor was taken from jail and was appointed. Yes, they said they went to him and told him he was in jail. They told him that if you accept appointment in our government, we'll take you out of jail. And that was how Kufuor was taken out of jail. No, but let me address this. That was why he was taken out of jail and appointed. 3 months later, he resigned.
But he was appointed.
That's very important.
He was appointed.
Again, on the EC.
How do we get the buy-in so that we allow the EC to do its work?
So I think that
you have a minute.
As a political party, we believe that elections are won at the polling station, as Dr. Afari-Gyan has said. And the way it is, there is no way anyone within the Electoral Commission will be able to change anything if the people don't vote for you. You remember in 2016, we were on the neck of the AC to change the register. We did all these things, but we felt that let's go to the voter, talk to the voter. And if we're able to win convincingly, the person have no doubt to be able to do that. Before that elections, you remember Martin Amidu said that Charlotte Osei was appointed to rig the elections. But we said, no, let's focus on our campaign. Let's focus on how to police our ballots. We're able to win the elections massively, convincingly, close to 1 million vote gap. That should tell you that elections are won at the polling station. In the transmission of, unfortunately, I told you that the EC is as transparent as ever. Now, there's no, the strong room, the myth around the strong room has been broken. Now, strong room is even at the region. That's where the stronghold is. It's even in the region. Because when you vote at the polling station, your agent will sign. It is sent at the coalition center. At the coalition center, it will be sent to the region.
Well, your point
and
is,
you will have people to certify. So if you go and campaign Don't be doing these. Don't be throwing these things because you don't have issues. You don't have policies to talk about. I believe that if you have genuine cause to really call the EC to order, that is an order. I am still challenging Delali that they mentioned 2,000 in certain constituencies, 1,000 in certain constituencies. I am yet to see an individual being interviewed by any media house in this country who said that I have been transferred without my consent. I didn't go to the EC to do the transfer. I am yet to see an individual like that. You are not the regional elections officer. It's a propagandist who can go and organize any press conference and say anything. Get people, tell them that this is my voter ID card. I didn't go to EC to be transferred. You are yet to produce even a single person. And you are here making noise.
You know,
3 minutes.
You know, Roland, I think the most important thing is for us not to celebrate the word perception.
What's your point?
Perception can create quite a lot of challenges. So in order for us to go forward, it should be seen that the Electoral Commission is working in a trustful manner with the political parties. When challenges come up, let the people see that you are prepared to sort out the challenges with the political parties. Because the political parties are stakeholders in elections. Don't stand somewhere and say A, B, C, D, E and leave the political parties out of it. Because people need
the
to
political
have
parties
the
have
trust.
the opportunity, they have IPAC.
People need the they have IPAC, but if you do not take what they say at IPAC, how do people trust you? The integrity of the Electoral Commission is sacrosanct. It has to be way up there, more than 100%. And the only way that can happen is through working diligently with the political parties and not be seen, not perceived to be seen that you're interested in only helping one political party. Once that happens and that integrity is there, then when the results come out, and we are all at the polling station, because this election, that one there, look, that one, don't even try it. Everybody will open their eyes. Now, I'm not sure. Tell me if it is going to happen. The Electoral Commission said some time ago they want to finish elections by a certain time. Have they come up with that again?
Oh, the one they even wanted the 3 p.m.
Yeah, 3 p.m.
No,
That has been that has not been agreed. By the
and even the November date also.
So all that is out of the way.
Yes, it's out of the way.
So it has to be policed and has to be done according to plan. And please, yesterday, the IGP indicated to us that they are going to do all they can to make sure that there's no violence. And when violence starts, where does it start? It doesn't start when people are going to vote. It starts after counting and, figures. People see figures once at the police station. Then when it gets somewhere else, it's something else. It has to be policed and policed well. Okay. What do we need? We need a safe Ghana. We need 2025 to be safe because the problems we are under. Okay.
All right. So the second issue is about our debts and the debt crisis, so to speak. Let's put on the screen what the finance minister did say. End July 2024, our debt already is 761 billion. Now, on the streets, the dollar is 16 Ghana cedis. If you want to buy $1 now, do we have a crisis on our hands or we don't? Or, as the finance minister said some weeks ago, so 2 or 3 weeks ago, I mean, we're just under recovering. Of course, we have creditors that we've told them, and Delali, that we need to restructure the debt. So we have both domestic and then external. But everything is fine. That's the assurance we've been given. Should we be worried or not?
Roland.
4 minutes on this, please.
Roland, 4 minutes, okay, I'll do just. Roland, the fact of the matter is this. Where is Madam Eslowusu? I mean, Madam Eslowusu actually told us about the fact that if governance is all about borrowing, her 17-year-old son would have been in a better position to govern. Who said? Madam Eslowusu, that's what she said.
What's your point with this?
My point is this. If indeed there's anything called borrowing, it should not actually feature as far as the NPP is concerned. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia told us that in fact he has had the opportunity to work at Bank of Ghana before. He thinks we can industrialize this country without borrowing. You see, when I was coming, because we're going to discuss about this topic, this is Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia lectures.
Which lecture?
That was what they call Central University Distinguished, the IMF build-up with the Anchor Home.
The series. Which of them? Which of the series?
That was March 2015.
2014. Okay.
This is 2015. This is Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia again. This one he was talking about the state of the Ghanaian economy. And this is also about Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia. He was talking about restoring the value of the city.
You had to print all this?
Oh yeah, I have to print because I've been reading through it and because I want to understand why the man Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia, how he told a palpable falsehood when he was then in a position. And this is what we are currently witnessing. You see, Roland, when you talk about borrowing, under the NPP, just less than 5 years, Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, when we have access to the Eurobond market, have borrowed to the, so far, Ghana have borrowed to the $13 billion. Out of that $13 billion, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, less than 5 years, together with Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia, have borrowed $11 billion. And that includes the $2.5 billion Franklin Templeton bond. When you compare that to President John Mahama, Emir Sata, and Professor John Evans Atta-Mills, for the 8-year period, the Euro market borrowed $3.5 billion.
What's your point?
My point is this. The only reason why President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and Mahmoud have the appetite of borrowing is because they are profiting from borrowing. Ken Ofori-Atta, the former finance minister, we know the amount of money his company has made as a result of borrowing. So the appetite for borrowing, unlike what we witnessed under President John Dramani Mahama, that we can point to the Rate Hospital, we can point to visible and verifiable projects, the KJTR market, the Kaswa interchange, the Impakadan, what we call railway line, the Pokuasi interchange. We can point to visible, verifiable projects that money was, the Terminal 3. But when it comes to the NPP, the essence of borrowing, the rationale behind borrowing, because they want to enrich their cronies. That was the only reason why they were borrowing. So at the end of the day, I listened to the finance minister talk about the fact that because of the exchange rate. Is that not what the finance minister said? Roland, March 13, 2016, Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia, together with President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, they went to Abosu Kwan. And Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia, look at the people at Abosu, look at them in the face. These are people who heavily depend on dollars. He said, listen, President Mahama is incompetent because at that time, when they were buying $10,000, they have to cough up an amount of 37,200 Ghana cedis to buy $10,000. Today, as we speak, the same Abosu Kwan spare part that watching me this morning need to cough up 160,000 Ghana cedis to buy the same $10,000. The man that told us, according to this series of lectures that he organized, and told us that it doesn't matter how suitable all the indicators are faring. The only indicator that proves that indeed you are a total mess, that proves that indeed you are incapable of managing the economy, is the exchange rate. So why is the finance minister telling us our debt has ballooned to 761 billion because of the exchange rate? Why is he telling us? They must be ashamed of themselves. The same group of people who told us, when you look at this particular lecture organized by Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia, when our debt to GDP was 67%, he said Mahama was incompetent. When our debt was around 67 billion, he said President Mahama was incompetent. Today, as we speak, our debt is 761 billion. When you take the 120...
Are you talking about the figures you're using? Are you talking 122 billion or...
I'm talking, in the NDC, we'll be quick to them. Debt accumulated there from the days of independence to the time President Mahama exited office, 122 billion.
Okay.
Today, according to the finance minister, it's 761 billion. Is that not it? When you do the deduction, you are getting 639 billion borrowing that have been added to this debt. Finally, in 2016, Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia organized a series of lectures. He told the good people of this country, we are supposed to divide the debts of this country among the population of Ghanaians. Everybody is entitled to pay a debt of 4,200 Ghana cedis. Today, as we speak, when you do the computation, myself and you, and the small boy watching me as this morning, is owing 25,000 Ghana cedis. What level of incompetence is this? So you see, when we are talking about borrowing, it's self-inflicted because this group of people, what they have done, the appetite for borrowing is because they want to enrich their cronies, because they want to profit someone like Ken Ofori-Atta. That is the essence, that is the rationale behind the borrowing.
Lawyer Pierre Dankwa, if you look at other countries, I mean, some of them even exceed the relation or the ratios in relation to their GDP when it comes to that. I think the key consideration, if you tend to look at what the indicators are, is if you're able to service the debts. And now we had to go to the external creditors, domestic ones, to restructure. It means that we're just, virtually insolvent. And at the end of the day, so the key consideration is, shouldn't we be doing something about it instead of continuously living the way we are?
Certainly. You take Japan. I think Japan's debt to GDP ratio is over 200%. The US's debt to GDP ratio is over 100%. So why are we not saying that their debt levels are not sustainable? Where do they borrow from? So you take Japan. Where do they borrow from? Japan largely borrows from their domestic market through bonds, and then they are and like you said, because they borrow from their domestic market, and in reality it's even a reflection of the confidence the citizens themselves have in their economy. They're also able to service because they don't need to go and take what's called foreign exchange from anywhere. And when you take Ghana's situation, I think about 58% of our debts are external, not so. Now, when we borrow, what do we essentially use the monies for? Remember what's called Kweku Kwarteng said that what we do is that we borrow to pay.
He issued a strong warning and missive, almost like a prophet.
Now, you go into our constitution, the 1992 constitution, chapter 6, under the directive principle of state policy. It's out the economic principle that, or economic objective of the country. And let me put something there. So you go to 36(2)(b), or as in before I could be, they say the state shall in particular take all necessary steps to establish a sound and healthy economy whose underlying principles shall include. So the underlying principles that shall include the economic objective of this country includes, you go to the B, affording ample opportunity for individual initiative. Creativity in economic and fostering the use of what is fiscal under your expenditure, your expenditure. How do you manage your debt? How do you mobilize revenue? How do you handle interest rates? How do you handle inflation? Because all these things impact the flow of or the supply of money, which impacts the economic environment. Now, when Nana-Addo took over in 2017, what was our debt to GDP ratio? Because the minister is saying that the reason why our debt has ballooned is because of the exchange rate. Now, let's in 2017 or in 27 December, what was the exchange rate? It was about, let's say 4. I think it was 4.2. You understand? What was our debt to GDP ratio? Our debt to GDP ratio in 2016 was 56%. In 2016, it was 26%. Now,
that's a lie.
Listen, so he can verify. In 2016, our debt to GDP ratio was 56%. Now, by 2022, when the city tanked, you understand? Because there are reasons why we were frozen out of the capital market. And one of the fundamental reasons why we were frozen out of the capital market was the unsustainability of our debt levels. Now, what those high debt and reckless debt, irresponsible borrowing does for is the one, you crowd out the private sector, so the economy won't grow. The economy will shrink. Because the cost of money will go up. 2, you lose investor confidence. Now check the rate at which FDIs have been flowing into the country. In 2017, Ghana had an FDI inflow of about 3.5 billion. In 2023, it has reduced to 1.5 billion. 1.5 billion. Now, what is the extent of our export? So, because at the end of the day, when it comes to the exchange rate, one of the key factors is how you're able to get foreign exchange into your economy. Have we not said that we have a problem with the structure of our economy and that there's a need for us to diversify off cocoa? When this government came, after the trade minister having comprehensively given them the 10-point industrialization and agenda, which includes a policy that says that you must diversify from cocoa, pharmaceutical, the auto industry. How has government used its fiscal policy? What has been government's contribution in terms of where it places money in diversifying the economy of Ghana? What wisdom, what sense is in spending over $5 billion on NABCO, 5 billion Ghana cedis on NABCO
to create jobs?
How many jobs has NABCO created?
They are temporary, so over 100,000.
While they are temporary, how that 5 billion? How much has it added to our GDP? As against a very transformational policy like the one where government just spent about 400 million. When you took the automotive industry sector, what has been government's contribution there? So at the end of the day, this exchange rate situation the minister is talking about is a situation that they themselves have created because of a reckless management of our economy, reckless borrowing, which has created a poisonous economic environment. Like I'm saying, FDIs, and our can check that in 2016 we had about 3.5 billion FDI inflow into Ghana. In 2023 we had just 1.5 billion. The investors have lost confidence in Ghana. Nobody wants to put money into Ghana. The economy of Ghana has lost credibility, and because the economy of Ghana has lost credibility, you find evidence of that in how your exchange rate is performing. And that's why the vice president said that if the fundamentals are weak, then the exchange rate will expose you. So the minister shouldn't come and be telling us what he's telling us. Clearly, they have no clue. They've tanked the economy. They've destroyed this country. They've created a poisonous economic environment. You understand? How can you justify Bank of Ghana borrowing over 60 billion?
Alan, you know, when your colleagues are talking and then you tend to giggle, it shows a modicum of disrespect towards it. No, please. And I want to be very categorical about this. It's something that is very symptomatic of how you tend to relate to your co-panelists when you come on shows. Exactly. And please, I am telling you that it is disrespectful to your co-panel. When you are talking, they don't giggle, they don't mimic, they don't make noise. Please just make sure that you restrain yourself from doing that. Okay.
You are coming to me.
Right? Please.
So, you see, they have tanked the economy. They've caused the economy to lose its credibility. You understand? So he shouldn't come and tell us that the reason why the debt levels is because of the exchange rate that you yourself tanked. Like I'm saying once again, there'll be a day of reckoning. See, there'll be a day of reckoning. That on that day, it won't just be Nanado's head on the chalkboard. That will be the MPP, people like Awal, who are enablers of this crime that has been done toward this country. And when that day comes, because that day will come, when that day comes, when we hold their balls accountable to this evil they've done to our country, I hope our giggles. That's what I'll say.
I will have to giggle because the person speaking right now, his leader has been a cabinet minister for 7 years in this government. Why wouldn't I giggle?
How do you mean?
Giggle. He has been a cabinet minister, yes, for 7 years in this government that he's saying that we have tanked the economy. So I will have to giggle because someone like this is telling us this. Why wouldn't I giggle? That's one. Two is that as a result of the lies that they have been put out by the NDC and others, Dubawa has been able to do some work on the debt to GDP ratio. Anyone can just go and check. If you check the annual debt report submitted by the finance minister in 2016, Ghana's debt to GDP ratio was 73.2%. This is something that Dubawa has done a lot of work on it. So it was corroborated by IMF and Statistica. You can check right now. You can just Google and check right now. That is one. Two is that, you see, in terms of debt, it is true you see 761 today. But you see, the level of movement.
761 what?
Billion Ghana cedi. But if you go in dollar terms, I'll come there. But I'm saying that in 2009, the total debt from independence to 2009 was 9.8 billion Ghana cedi. The NDC moved it to 122. If you check in terms of folds, that is 12 folds. 12 folds, because 9.8 times 12 is around 122.
You mean the percentage increment?
Yes, 12 folds. 12 folds. Now, when you take 122 to 761, that is about 5-6 folds. So the level of movement, you who moved $8.1 billion to $34 billion, now our entire debt is $51 billion because we borrow in dollars. If they will want to do propaganda, they move into cedis. But if you check the dollar, it was 8.1 you met. You met 8.1, you move it to 34 billion. Now it is 51%. Now when you check what the finance minister has said, that is an absolute truth, because even when you check your flyer that you have, that you shared before we even introduced the thing, he says it is largely attributed to interest rate, especially the movements.
Please
now.
put the finance minister. Is that the same flyer?
Yes, I think the same.
Is
flyer.
this comfortable for you?
Yes.
Okay.
So when
Please
you
put
check
it on the screen.
last year,
The finance minister's flyer.
so the finance minister is saying that
graphics.
it is the exchange rate that has ballooned it, not necessarily an amount of money that we have really.
Who's responsible for managing the exchange rate?
Yes, I'll come there. So when you check last year, the total in terms of dollar rate is 53.5 billion. You should see an appreciation, not a depreciation. But when we're able to manage and there was some stability with the exchange rate, it came to 51 billion dollars this year when you check. But last year, the CD equivalent was around 587 billion Ghana cedi, and the dollar equivalent was 53.5. Now today it is 761 billion in CD term, but in dollars it is 51. It tells you that indeed it is a point that he has made, that it is indeed the dollar. When you check the management of the CD and dollar between 2017 and January 2022, between 2017 that we picked at a 4.4 to January 2022, it was 6 cedis. In January 2022, 6 cedis. In February, March, there were exchange rate volatilities across the world and inflation. This is a fact. In 2022, I'm telling you that between 2016, it's Russia-Ukraine war.
Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia says, how does COVID, Russia, Ukraine war skips everybody around us and then affects Ghana?
In your bid to do propaganda, you said he said Russia, Ukraine. He didn't say that.
Yeah, sure.
I'm only trying to do propaganda. I'm just doing the transposition. In your bid to do propaganda, you are saying that.
No, I'm not doing propaganda. I'm only saying
Russia, Ukraine. Dr. Bawumia never said Russia, Ukraine.
Yo, certainly he never said that.
Yes.
But I'm saying that
you wanted to do the propaganda.
Exogenous factors, certainly.
There were no exogenous factors in 2016.
Commodity prices were not high.
Which exogenous factors?
Commodity prices across the world were not high.
In 2016,
2015, 2016,
that is a lie. That's a lie. They were not high. Okay. There were stabilities. It was doomsday-induced crisis in this country. That was the reason Dr. Bawumia has said that. Well, it is self-inflicted. But this one, I'm telling you that between before the exogenous shocks,
this one we have no role to play.
I am saying, but we have role to manage it. From 2017 to 2022, for 6 years, the depreciation was not even up to 2 cedis. For 6 years, you can check. But in 2022, almost every economy in this world went into crisis because of inflation and exchange rate volatilities. UK had to change 3 prime ministers within 2022. 3 prime ministers within 2022.
And we maintained ours.
Yes, because we have a tenure.
So we've done better.
Someone has a security of tenure, so definitely. But they changed 3 because of economic problems. You understand? So in 2022, we had issues to the extent that in 2022, as of December, it went around 16 cedis per dollar. One cedi was around 16 cedis. Today, 2 years on, there is relative stability because you quoted 16 today.
In
That's on the
2020,
street.
yes, I'm saying that you quoted 16 today. In 2022, as of December, it was around 16 cities.
Who created the 2022 situation?
But I told you that even in the UK and US, they also had hyperinflation. Which is really pointing to the fact that they even changed prime ministers. I told you this. And today the UK economy is even in recession. Yes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
these are issues that had come.
So
but
these are
fortunately,
exogenous factors.
fortunately, the economy is picking up, because when you check in 2016, when we had 122 billion as our debt, the per capita income at that time was $1,900. Today, per capita income is $2,400.
And the purchasing power of that per capita income
has moved up, because I'm talking in relation to dollars, not cities.
With inflation
that is one.
affected.
Again, we have built the economy 20 billion addition to the economy, because we meant an economy which was 56 billion. Now it is 76 billion. Again, we have invested heavily in health that no other government in the history of this country has ever completed 50 hospitals before. We have done 34 hospitals complete. 111 are at various stages of completion. When we came in 2016...
How many hospitals are we building in total?
111. 111 at various stages of completion. When we came in 2016, AstroTurfs were only 3 privately owned. Today we have 150. We have built more stadia than any other government. We have built 6 new mini stadia, to the extent that Volta region has a stadia. Again, police service has been retooled. 900 cars, 4,000 motorbikes. The IGP has said that there is no government in the history of this country who has even given the police service even up to 2,000 motorbikes. Again, 3 helicopters for the first time in the history of this country. Police has 3 helicopters. We have 1,000 housing units. Fire service training school had.
You can't mention everything.
From Kwame Nkrumah up to today, we have only 1. Okay. Today, we have increased it by 3. 1 in Uadio and Kwanta, 1 in Northeast, and 1 in Chebi. So it tells you that we have built the economy. We have a lot to show. With the 761 that you see there.
All right. We borrow in what currency?
Dollars.
How do we pay?
We pay in dollars.
How do we mop up to pay in dollars?
Yes, we do with the cedi. That's why I did analysis of the cedi and the dollar.
Okay,
I did the
so we borrow in dollars, we mop up in cedi.
Yes.
So if the cedi is volatile,
now we are even turning. Now we are even turning it. We're doing it to gold, because the gold for oil and the gold for reserve is something that we're using. Under Bawumia to repay our
I have to give you only 2 minutes. My time is up.
Why you let our talk?
Oh, but you are in opposition, so definitely you have
definitely what? Why are you scared of the 3 people?
No, but
you run away, but you've come back. So that's what you call it.
So,
let me tell him: don't compare yourself to what Nkrumah did, because you haven't gotten anywhere there. You keep saying that since independence, you can't compare the two. 2 different things. During Nkrumah's, when Nkrumah was here, we had 6 ships. 6 ships.
You mean Black Star Line?
Black Star Line. We had hospitals. We had. So don't let. Oh, please don't let us go there. So, if Awal is saying what he's saying, why do Ghanaians feel the way they feel? If Awal is saying they've done X, they've done Y, why are Ghanaians feeling the way they feel? Whose job is it to check the exchange rate? Whose job is it to check the depreciation of the cedi? Whose job is it to make sure that we are not import-led? Whose job? Have you been able to curtail it? If you haven't been able to curtail it, then you failed. You failed as a government.
For 2 years.
You have failed.
For 2 years.
Please, when you were talking, please.
It is not the containment. It is how has it helped the Ghanaian. Let's go down to brass tacks. The Ghanaian's pocket. Can the Ghanaian afford 3 square meals a day? Can the Ghanaian take his child to hospital? Can the Ghanaian pay transport prices? Can the ordinary private sector guy buy the fuel that he needs to do his business? Food inflation, where is it today? Please.
Right.
Stop that and not let me finish.
Slowly.
Oh,
According to
Mani
Statistics Service,
Awa,
it is
Mani
coming
Mie.
down. Population is coming down. According to the latest...
You know the danger. You know the danger we are in.
Yeah.
If for anything at all,
What's wrong with the
if for
current-
anything at all, what the finance minister is saying, how are we going to pay back? And I even feel that he's been economical with the truth where the debt is concerned. We have interest rates to pay on our debt. Is it included? Is it included? That figure is bigger than the 7 whatever he's talking about. And the areas where we would have mopped up gold, cocoa, oil, where is it today? Exploration to production, the last 8 years, have we done any? How much money is coming in?
Biggest oil gold refinery in Ghana
Please,
today.
it's not the greatest gold refinery. Where
just
is
inaugurated.
where is the money? Gold, cocoa. We were exporting how many? Last year, how much did we export? The previous, how much did we export? Where is it today? 400,000 metric tons. Isn't that a reduction in money? And then he tells us about what? Domestic, the domestic, what did he say? He said, factors include city depreciation, disbursements from multilateral institutions, and domestic financing of the budget. Are they not competing with the private sector? Are they not competing with the private sector? So this private sector that you want to now, Dr. Bawumia is saying that they would give everything to the private sector. Can they compete with government? Can they?
Okay.
Look, Laura, let me finish by saying, unfortunately, they have failed. They should prove to us. They should prove to us that they can turn this economy around in 4 months. They should prove to us.
IMF is saying that
All
the
right.
economy is turning around.
I have this one from Electra in Financial Economics, who says exogenous factors include international commodity price fluctuations or reductions, such as in cocoa, crude oil, gold, etc. These commodities are collectively called international commodities, such that prices are determined by international factors. It is therefore not true that there was no exogenous factors in how the economy performed between 2013 and 2016. Thank you, my prof. And then also, okay. And then also, I have a couple more from all this. But look, we have to end it. Thank you all for coming through this morning. No more. Awal, welcome back.
Thank you.
Now, step into the world of Dewa. I'm reading our LPM. This is paid for. Awal. Yeah. Okay. Step into the world of Dewa 539 for your chance to win big with Dewa Direct and Dewa Chop Money. With Dewa Direct, dial *446#, pick the range of the numbers 1 to 39 and win 20 times, 40 times, or 400 times your stake, and win cash every evening at 7 p.m. and on Sundays at 6 p.m. Now, early birds love Dewa Chop Money, and at 10 a.m. dial *446#, choose the range of the numbers 1 to 39 and win big 20 times, 40 times, or 400 times your stake. You can play online as well. Dewa-nla.com is the online portal for you to go, or you can still use the hashtag or the short code that they have. And please, that is *446#. Just in case you want to make customer inquiries easy for you to do so. So we have 0556259 or 05324798 or 9879. That's where we call it a morning on big issues. We have more. Remember, we have the latest sports update, community manifesto, and certainly some giveaways right here on the show. Stay with us.